Hello everybody out there, welcome back here with the future once again to another retro showcase and review. And this retro showcase and review was made possible once again by the action figure Jedi, my friend Thaddeus. He actually lent me the 8-inch action figures, which you can see kind of in the background here. He actually gifted me the Bruno Sammartino and the Roddy Piper after he lent me the 8-inch LJN Wrestling Superstars figures that I did a retro showcase and review on and showed them off. If you haven't saw it, go back and check it out. I'll put it up in the suggested box to the right. We have plans on doing a lot of different retro showcase and reviews of some really cool figures and figure lines, even some more LJN figure videos to do, even after this video here, which is the LJN Bendies line that they did. The Wrestling Superstars Bendies. They were actually fashioned after the original 8-inch series using the same paint scheme and pose as their taller versions. The only difference was that they were much smaller and had metal wire inside that allowed them to bend. So if you ever seen any kind of bendable figures, that's exactly what they were. But in my opinion, these were really cool because I'm a fan of the smaller, like 3 3/4 inch, 4-inch figures and smaller, kind of like the Hasbro line. And these actually would have fit right in with my Hasbro figures. I probably would have played with these with my Hasbros and Galoobs if I would have had these, because they are right on the same scale. I actually have some Hasbros and Galoobs that I'm going to pull out for a size comparison and just a look. I have to go back and do retro showcase and reviews on my Galoob and Hasbro collections from when I was a kid too, as we are getting into these action figure showcase and reviews here. Showing off the LJNs. I have to do proper vids. It's been so long since I did videos, so long ago back in the archive since I did videos. Some of my first showcase and reviews that I did were of my LJN, or excuse me, my Hasbro WWF and my WCW Galoob figures, which I wanted to go back and do a showcase and review for this series here of the retro showcase and reviews that I've been doing. And I have been putting a playlist up too. It's up on the suggested box to the right here. You can go back and check out all my retro showcase and reviews that I have done. But yeah, I got to thank Thaddeus, who enjoyed the last video, the action figure Jedi, along with his kids, Archer and Anakin. They really enjoyed it too, so I got to shout them all out here on the video. Hope they enjoyed this one of the Bendies line. And everybody out there, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Drop a comment down below if you like what you see here. Give me a like. And yeah, share this video with your friends. Let everybody know about the channel. And now let's check out I think they were made from 1985 to 1986. I didn't really find like an official date for these, but I think they were released during the 80s boom along with the 8-inch line. But yeah, these are the 1980s Bendies by LJN, the WWF Superstars Bendies line. And they're very cool. And can't wait to show them off here. I think he has like 12 of the 18 that were made, and a couple of the variants, which he'd given me a couple of these doubles that he had. So let's check them out, guys. Okay, so here we have the LJN Wrestling Superstars Bendies figures, figurines, whatever you want to call them. I just call them Bendies. But from what I've gathered from the information, if anybody else knows that I'm wrong here, correct me. But what I've gathered, these are only like one. There was only like one series released of these, or two series, 85 and 86. I really wasn't able to really find out even on the Wikipedia. It doesn't say a series. It just says they were released during the 80s boom. I did see something from 85 to 86. I have all the bigger versions back here too, so we can compare, because they're supposed to be in the model of the original 8-inch figures, like in their stances. So we're going to compare them real quick. Also, I'm going to pull a Hasbro and a Galoob out here in a little bit and just show them off too. But he also had one of these too. And this is Jimmy Snuka from the WWF Rock and Wrestling Erasers line that was made back in the day by LJN. Everybody knows the cartoon Rock and Wrestling. You can see his nose is tore off though. One of these carded I saw online going for $200 with free shipping on eBay if you're interested. Man, I asked him if he had any more of these, and no, they're bendy, but they don't have the wire in them. And they look a lot like the Bendies, but they're smaller. You can see there. But you still could have used this with these guys, Snuka giving the splash there or whatever. And it's cool, that they made a figure line They're actually erasered figures, but a figure line for the Rock and Wrestling cartoon, Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling. And here you see him next to his LJN 8-inch counterpart. And you can see that, you know, they didn't make him in the same design because this was not a bendy. But I still wanted to compare him next to his 8-inch line. Like I said, go back and check out that review. These are some amazing LJN figures, by the way, Wrestling Superstars figures, just for the fact that they're not all scuffed up. I mean, they do have some play wear on them, but look at this Jimmy Snuka. I mean, for the most part, he's in great shape for the shape that I've saw some LJN figures. He's in great shape. But I thought it's cool to show off, you know, that and the bendy, or not the bendy, but the little eraser figure here from Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling. And speaking of Hulk Hogan, we have two of them here. And I found out on the one that he duct tape up and, you know, put ink on, he ended up giving me this. I was going to buy this off of him for whatever, but I found out that they made a variation of Hulk, and this is actually the variant here because it has no laces on the boots. And then they made one with laces, and I think that there's a little bit of a confusion on the laces part. And I have, you know, I think, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 12 out of the 18 figures here. Or actually, I think only, let's see, if we take him out, because I got a double of him and him. So 11 out of the 18 figures that were released in this wave. And then the Rock and Wrestling eraser here. But the Hogan variants, you can see there, the laces on the boots were different, but he gifted me this one, so I'm very happy to have this in the collection. There's a little bit of confusion on which one actually came first, the laces or and it doesn't seem to be like too much of a difference on, you know, valuability either. So if anybody knows, let me know on that. But it's cool to have, you know, Hulk Hogan. And here he is next to his LJN 8-inch counterpart, which these were modeled after. We're supposed to be modeled after, and you can see he's in that pose. It's not exactly like it, obviously. And there was one Hogan made that was released with the steel cage ring that they made for these. They made a ring with a steel cage, which was in a couple different color variants. And they released a Hulk Hogan, which was quite a bit taller than the actual Bendies that were released here. And he came with blue knee pads. So that's another variant of Hogan that is out there. Because a lot of these figures had variants. I think there was like 4 different figures with variants. And the next figure I wanted to show off is the other one that he gave me. And this is the other variant, because this is a no boot. And this is the one he had taped up, which was a no laces, and this one has laces. So we have the variants there of the Iron Sheik. I actually like, you know, the laced versions are the better versions of the two that he has, in my opinion, that I'd, you know, rather have. But he's gifted me these that were a little bit beat up and taped up. I took the tape off of the Sheik and off of his head and kind of cleaned him up. And then Hogan, I tried to clean all the ink off of his head and everything, which decreases the value, but I'm still glad that I have some of these Bendies and some of the LJN actual figures in my line now, the 8-inch in my collection from the 8-inch line, excuse me. But very cool there. We'll put those aside. The 8 inches I'm going to throw back in the box after I'm done. He has the very cool belt there too that I showed off in the first vid. Man, I love that belt. Pretty sweet there. Next, we're going to show the Sheik here, like I said. Let's show his 8-inch counterpart. And they did do a good job doing the same one. Like, his arm should be up more. Like, I don't know why these are down, but as you can see there, they did a pretty good job on this one, actually, of replicating the pose that he's in. As you can see here, they look like smaller versions of the 8-inch. Here's the 8-inch Sheik. And then the Bendy Sheik. The laces, which I like better out of the two. And the no lace version that I now have. He's a little skinnier. Like, Sheik was not that skinny. You can see the body types are different, so kind of weird. The Hogans are more similar in size. than the Sheiks. And there's, you know, him with one of his buddies from Hulk and Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling there too. So how fitting is that? But you can see there's a scuff there. It came right off though. Just hitting some of these figures, bumping them up against each other, will leave scuffs on them though. So that's why you got to be very careful with these. But he's a pretty good Sheik version. Next, we're going to show off, and the rubber like breaks down and gets, you know, on these, and gets real sticky on some of these. Next, let's show off Big John Studd here, who's trying to pull off the most muscular pose. And you can see there the bendy action, which these would have been really cool. I mean, they're kind of tough to bend too, so they aren't like they bend, you know, as much as some bendies I've seen. So that's why I said they would have been good with my Hasbros or even my Galoobs. Definitely the Galoobs. But here's Big John Studd, and I'm not gonna, you know, pose everyone, try to get him into the pose that the 8-inch figure is in. But here's his 8-inch counterpart. And you can see they kept the same attires, same color schemes, same styles of tights, boots, colors, everything as the 8-inch counterpart. So they were supposed to just be littler 8-inch figures that could bend, which in my opinion I kind of like more than the 8-inch if I was a kid. Then we have, let's just do him next because, you know, everybody knows Andre. And this was the shorter haired version of Andre. They made a long haired version, so I only have the long haired version to show him next to, but still, nonetheless, this is the first Wave 1 Andre. And he did point out to me that he did try to color the tights here, which, I don't know, this is still a great version of the original Andre nonetheless. But here's the bendy version next to his counterpart. 8-inch counterpart. The 8th wonder of the world. I really love this Andre figure. Really cool looking. That's probably my favorite of all the bendies here, is this Andre. Because I just love classic short-haired Andre there. Like him and Big John Studd, you know, they had the match at Mania. That's what they looked like. You know. The only thing about Andre, though, he should have stood, you know, taller, in my opinion. You know, Big John Studd's a taller figure, but, I mean, just for a little comparison here, we'll take, like, the next one. I'm going to show Paul Orndorff here, next to Andre. I guess he's shorter, but I guess they did make the size quite a bit. They made Andre quite a bit bigger, so I can't really complain there. But he just seems like he's not as tall as I thought he would be in this line. But here's Orndorff, who is really ripped, so obviously his figure is going to be ripped. And we're going to have to compare him with the Ultimate Orndorff, Ultimate Warrior. They tried to customize Orndorff into Warrior back then. I just got to leave this like this for him because, you know, that's some history for him. But nonetheless, we have an awesome, you know, looking version of Orndorff right next to him. In his bendy version, which you could bend out, but he looks awesome there posed. So they did a real good job of replicating that one. So there's what he would look like without his Ultimate Warrior stuff on, basically, in a smaller scale. And you can see on the back there, I don't know how well it's going to zoom or come out, but they have the stamps there on the back. And I can't really read it because it's all scuffed up. But that's where the stamp is located. So Orndorff's done. So we have a few more here. Here's the Steamboat, Ricky Steamboat, the steamer. And they did a really good job on this one too. This was before his fire-breathing dragon days, which I mentioned in the first video of the 8-inch line. And here he is in comparison to his 8-inch figure. And they did a really good job of replicating it. As you can see, his hands in the same pose, his arms in the same pose, the head's even leaning over to the, looking to his left a little bit. I almost think the likeness on the smaller version is better than the likeness on the 8-inch version. I don't know about what you guys think, but a really cool Steamboat right there. So there's Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Next we have Mr. USSR himself, the late Nikolai Volkov. You can see there's a little bit of a scuff on his beard. I think he had more of a beard there at one time. which you could color in, but you don't really want to do that. And he has his hat molded on this one. He came with the hat on his 8-inch version, which you can see here. But, you know, the accessory, I think that the Action Figure Jedi told me he knows where some of the accessories are for these guys, too. So that'd be a cool update if we could find some of the accessories. I'd definitely update the video that we found the accessories. But here he is in this 8-inch counterpart and the Bendy from LJN of Nikolai Volkov, who just passed away recently. Next we have the animal himself, George the Animal Still, and there you can see he has like a red spot there on the side of his face, which probably could be rubbed off rather easy. I don't know if this just happened or what, but as you can see there, just put a little bit of elbow grease in there and you might be able to get some of this scuff off. But I got most of it off the side there. I can get the rest of it probably off just by working around here. But I think it's a very cool version. Just like his 8-inch counterpart, they did not color in the hairs. It would have been cool if they gave that a little bit of a wash color or something. And he's like cocked to the side there, just like his 8-inch counterpart too. As you can see, they got his arm kind of like to the side there, and on this one too. Like I said, he starred as Tor Johnson and Ed Wood, and they did a really good job of replicating the 8-inch version in this one. So very cool. Always been a fan of George Still, the late George Still. He passed away recently on us too. A lot of these guys are no longer with us anymore, which is sad. But a huge fan of the LJN lines. Next we have Grab Them Cakes, Mr. JYD, and the 8-inch JYD actually came with a chain that was an actual accessory that they don't have. They did, you know, put a collar around him though, some kind of plastic collar, so they had the chain on there before. But there's kind of what he would have looked like with the chain. And like I said, they molded him with the same tights and stuff, but they didn't go ahead and put the Bulldog or the Junkyard Dog on the side of the tights. So I don't know if there's any like variants out there that actually have that on there. Because like it's weird they went ahead and went through with like, you know, Iron Sheik and Iran and all that, but they didn't go through with Junkyard Dog and JYD's tights. So yeah, good look at the JYD. He's a little bit scuffed up. What are you going to do though? These are like 34-year-old figures or some 30-some-year-old figures or whatever. Do the math. 2 more left. Well, I guess next we'll just show King Kong Bundy here. And I like this one too. This is like the second favorite one of mine here next to Andre. Is this Bundy. They made him very proportionate to size of what he would be like. I like how the body type is just like his body type looked. Basically then. The Walking Condominium, I think is what Gorilla Monsoon used to call him. Here he is next to Andre, and you can see there, Andre, who was bigger at the time, and he's got a little bit of a gut going there on this from the side. But you had the Walking Condominium, King Kong Bundy. They just did a hell of a job on the sculpt there, and even his bigger figure here. Look at his 8-inch counterpart. I remember this one my cousin had as a kid. Used to play with it all the time. Thought it was really cool because it was like the only one he had. I think he had this one, and I think he may have had Big John Studd, but I'm not 100% sure who the other one he had is. But look at the look on that face. But they tried to give the same look there to Bundy here, and it's a little different too, the way they made his arms. They didn't make the same on the Bendy there, as you can see. So comparison there for the two. Pretty neat though, nonetheless. And then last but not least, you can see the insignia, the hot rod insignia is actually worn off at the front of the chest there. It was on there, and I don't know if he came with a little kilt or not. I'm guessing he probably didn't, but I may be wrong there. But the face on this one, just like in the larger version, like, man, I just think the face is just a little weird looking, that grin on his face, but nonetheless, it's Piper. He actually gave me the More scuffed version over there of Piper without the kilt that he had, but still, I'm a huge Piper fan. I didn't have any LJNs, and he gave me the Bruno too, so there's the Bruno San Martino right there, which I don't have a bendy of. I don't think they made a bendy of Bruno. But here he is with the kilt on, which is cool. He still has the kilt for the 8-inch version, but you can see the bendy is made in the same exact fashion. And yeah, this is a no laces hot rod, so I think they probably made a hot rod with the laces too. Let's see if any of these other ones don't have laces. Yeah, there's no laces on Orndorff here. So they made some with and some without, no laces. Well, he has different kind of boots, but there's no laces on that. But the rest do have boot laces. But very cool. These two here, I'm putting in my collection, and I'm really glad that Thaddeus let us check out these 1980s LJN Wrestling Superstars Bendies figures that were released during the 1980s wrestling boom, the rock and wrestling era, and also the one Hulk Hogan's rock and wrestling eraser figure here too. And big ups for him letting us check out that 8-inch line in that last video. We have a really special figure coming from the LJN line that I'm going to check out. The Action Figure Jedi is going to let us check out too. So yeah. Okay, so I wanted to do this to end this out here, and as you can see, I have the Bendies set up next to the 8-inch LJN, and then I have the next generation figures, and that would be the WWF Hasbro action figure line that came next. So I have the Hasbros to compare there next to the LJNs like I said I was going to, and look at the size comparison. Those Bendies would have fit right in with the LJN. You can see how Andre later on had the singlet with the one strap and changed his look. So it's kind of cool to see Andre from his beginning days there and his older days. This is actually a 1989 release figure. This one here was 85, so some years difference there. And also, if I'm going to do Andre, let's see on the back here. He's actually 1990, so not 1989. I wanted to get that right, so 1990 there for Andre. But then we had the Hogan, who I'm pretty sure was also released in 90. If I'm not sure, they were 89, 90 that first wave. But there's the Hogan against his bendy counterpart. You can see they were a lot bulkier and more cartoonish looking. But nonetheless, it's cool to see the generations of figure versions, and obviously in front of their counterparts, their LJN counterparts, it's even crazier. And look at the scale difference. They went from the 8-inch for the basic line, you know, to the smaller Hasbro plastic. You know, this one has the press slam action, where you could press a guy over his head. His action's actually kind of broke up because I always used it. Then, you know, Andre had that headbutt mechanism that broke out, but you know, they had actions now, so they were more like an action figure. But yes, the Bendies definitely would have fit right alongside these guys, as you can see here, if you didn't have one of these figures. So I had to show that off. And also, I have Sting and Ric Flair here, who remind me of almost like smaller versions of the LJN figures, as they were stationary, but they weren't made out of rubber. They were made out of a harder plastic that you couldn't really bend at all, as you can see there. But the Nature Boy here, if all you had was these WCW Gloobs in 90, and you had some of these Bendies, they'd have fit pretty well in scale alongside each other. Hogan could take them out. But yeah, look at him here next to Stinger. Stinger was like their Hogan at the time, so I had to compare him against Sting. But yeah, not bad. Better than what I thought on the scale and everything. So yeah, it's cool to see him next to the 1990 Galoob and the Hasbro from 1990. WWF line figures there too, the next generation after LJN, next to their LJN counterparts, the Bendies and the 8-inch. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed checking this out. Action figure lovers, wrestling action figure lovers, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you like what you saw. Give me a like. Drop a comment down below on what you think of these action figures. Make sure you share this video with your friends and all that stuff. So yeah, guys, until next time, I really appreciate the watch. Thanks a lot, Action Figure Jedi, for helping make this video possible. And until next time, guys, peace out and keep collecting.